Good morning. Welcome into Monday Mornings with Murph. It is a glorious Monday morning. We are dealing with daylight savings time. I don't know whether you like it, don't like it. The spring forward on Sunday, and we lost an hour, so people are thinking that, they had a little less sleep, and I happen to like it just because there's more light in the evenings. When you're going home from work, it's not dark, those kind of things, and I happen to like that. So, I just go with the flow, I guess, I'm not going to be a radical on that. But, so let's get into what we want to talk about today, and today's message is born out of what has transpired in the last couple weeks with friends of mine and things that I've been praying with people for. I've had two different friends that have had tragic losses in their families in the last couple weeks. And the thing that I want to talk about today is both of them have heard from people that are Christian brothers and sisters, but have told them basically just get over it. And so I want to address today the fact that we as individuals, as humans, deal with tragedy differently. Each of us is made differently. We celebrate the fact that we're individuals and that we have individual talents and individual gifts and individual callings, but we don't celebrate the fact sometimes that we have individual ways of dealing with things. And we talked about last week, and I want to talk about again this week a little bit about perspective. Your perspective is the truth that you believe. It's what you operate in. Your perspective. And I talked last week about changing your perspective a little bit to kind of look at it through God's eyes or look at it through another person's eyes, their perspective. Perspective, when we talk about drawing, is your relation to another object. That's what perspective is, your relation to that object. Well, depending on where you're at is your perspective. Have you ever went to a basketball game or a baseball game, and if you're sitting in the nosebleed section, your perspective of the game is different than somebody sitting courtside or sitting right on the first base line, because their perspective is much different than sitting up way in the stands in center field or up in the nosebleed section at a basketball game. So, and it's even a different perspective if you're like me who reffed basketball for many years, when you're actually on the court with the players. There's a different perspective. And so what I'm encouraging you today as men and women of God that are listening to this, and those of you that may not know God yet, that you need to please give people a break that are grieving a loss of a loved one, because that grief process takes longer for certain people, shorter amounts for other people. And I know of what I say. I have grieved the loss of my mom, my dad, and my wife. And so I know what I'm talking about when I say that grief is real, and grief is something, a process that you go through, and people go through it in different time spans. And so to tell somebody to just get over it or just move on is very callous and uncaring, in my opinion. So please try and have compassion for those going through those type of losses, and pray for their joy to return. That's what we're going to talk about today. And it talks about over in Nehemiah. Ezra was reading in the law in Nehemiah, and in Nehemiah it says, the joy of the Lord is our strength. The joy of the Lord is our strength. And I'm going to read today out of Psalms, and we're going to be in Psalms 30. We're in the Living Bible translation today. And we're going to start in the 4th verse, and it says, "Oh, sing to him, saints, and give thanks to his holy name. His anger only lasts a moment, but his favor lasts for life." And when it's talking about anger here, this was before Jesus came, because this is in Psalms. And God did have wrath or anger towards sin and those kind of things at that time. Jesus was not there for the barrier for us. So, but it says right here in 5, and this is important, "Weeping may go on all night, but in the morning there is joy." And when it says weeping may go on all night, it's not talking about literally a 12-hour period of darkness that night. It's talking about for a season. Weeping may go for a season, but joy comes in the morning. And then farther on down here in 11, it says that He, the Lord, has turned my sorrow into joy. He took away my clothes of mourning, and He has clothed me with joy, so that I might sing glad praises to the Lord, instead of lying in silence in the grave. O Lord my God, I will keep thanking you forever. And so my message to you that are grieving, please take some time to get in the presence of the Lord, put on some worship music, and get in His presence and thank Him and worship Him for who He is and what He's doing in your life, and let Him heal and help you return to that position of joy. Let Him take the mourning and give you back joy. Let Him take the sorrow and give you back gladness. And for those of you friends and family around those grieving, just pray for their return of joy. Pray for the Lord to touch them. And don't try to hasten their dealing and their grieving. Let them grieve in their own way, in their own time. But pray for them, uplift them, uphold them, and pray for their return of joy. Well, I hope you have a great week this week. And until next week, God bless you.